Welcome to the Wizarding Wireless Network podcast with me, AJ.
And me, Will.
Together, we will be bringing you our no-holds-barred thoughts, opinions, and detailed analysis on all things Wizarding World. So, with that in mind, grab yourself a glass of fire whiskey and settle into this week's episode of the WWN.
Welcome back to the Wizarding Wireless Network with your hosts AJ and Will, streaming to you on all of your favourite podcast providers and on YouTube. On today's Folio Universitas episode, we will be talking about Hogwarts, a history.
A very brief history, I should point out. Very brief.
Yeah, this is going to be like episode 1 of many.
Exactly. It will be like the Encyclopedia Britannica of Hogwarts, I feel. No, but seriously, there is a lot to talk about when it comes to this magnificent castle. Right, I suppose first question for you, Will, would be, what's your favourite place in Hogwarts?
Ooh, it's either got to be the Slytherin Common Room, just because it's where I just spent most of the time in Hogwarts Legacy.
Fair.
Or maybe the Defence Against Dark Arts classroom.
Oh, nice one. Quite rogue. Why?
So I think, Common Room is a bit obvious. You're there all the time. It's underwater. You've got a view of the lake. Looks amazing.
Mm.
The Defence Against Dark Arts classroom is, I think it's so synonymous with the films of, like, I think it's one of my favourite classes, so I would naturally want to be in that room. And just the dragon skeleton that just floats from the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such, like, you can look in every corner of the room and there's just something that's intriguing within that room.
Do you know the thing that I absolutely love about the Defence Against the Dark Arts classroom, more so in the movies as opposed to the books, but it really does represent every character's personality, because that's probably, well, one of the only classes that teacher gets replaced every book. And every single time there's a new iteration of the classroom itself, like the interior decor. Like when you look at Gilderoy Lockhart, it's just sheer narcissism. There's portraits of him everywhere. Then you get to Professor Lupin. It just looks a bit more basic, functional, a bit drab, a bit like weathered, I would say. Yeah?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the reasons why the Defence Against Dark Arts classroom for me is one of the rooms that I keep going back to, because every year it looked different. So there's always something you're picking up on. I think with the other classrooms, it was very much static.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it just had that chance to change because the teacher was changing all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you then? Where is your favourite part of the castle?
I love the castle as a whole, but I would probably say one of my favourite places to go, like if I could actually visit the castle, would go to the astronomy tower.
Oh, good choice.
Because, I mean, those views are gorgeous. They're absolutely gorgeous. Don't get me wrong, we'll just skip over the fact that a man fell to his death. But, you know, we won't dwell on that. But the views are lovely.
Exactly. I mean, at least he had a good view as he was heading down south.
Or, well, did he? Because technically would have been dead before that.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Rip
what a way to
Dumbledore.
go. What a way to go.
I know, make an entrance, make an exit.
I know. Could you imagine, right, the little first year who's standing in the Transfiguration courtyard below that? They're just like walking about, la-da-da-da-da, and then all of a sudden, boom. Like, could you imagine?
It's like the meme of the kid watching the iPad in the car where it's just like...
Yeah. Have you seen Scary Movie?
Yeah.
Remember, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? What am I waiting for? And it just falls. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting.
100%. Like, that is perfect.
Yeah. God.
So, with the astronomy tower, like, I can't think of anything that would have a better view of the Scottish Highlands. Like, you are up really high, just standing there, having like a summer breeze, just looking out would just be perfect.
I mean, the end of Half-Blood Prince is one of my absolute favourite shots throughout the whole of the series, is when the trio are just standing on the astronomy tower. They're looking out over the Highlands. You've got Fox flying high, and it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. I wish we had seen a lot more of the astronomy tower in the earlier movies as well. Because it was featured quite heavily, especially in Philosopher's Stone, with the whole taking of Norbit or Norbetta back to the Romanian colony.
Yeah. And I think the thing is, though, with the films, what was quite nice about it is it slowly introduced different parts of the castle to you. It wasn't a case of, here is the castle, we're going to show you everything in one go.
Yeah.
I think every film, it unveiled the castle like layers, which was really nice.
Absolutely. Do you know, I kept thinking about this, and I remember initially when Hogwarts Legacy was first announced, and I seen some of the art for the mock-ups of the castle, and part of me instantly thought, well, this isn't true to the movies, and then I sort of thought, no, hold on a minute. This is a complete and different interpretation of it. Obviously, somewhat like the exterior of the castle looks the same, but they've added in a few more bits. But when you think about it, if you read through the books, like the castle itself is absolutely endless. There's so many tunnels, there's so many secret passageways, there's so many courtyards, there's classrooms, there's rooms, there's staircases that lead to nowhere. And I think Hogwarts Legacy did such a great job of completely changing the script on what Hogwarts is supposed to be like. It was their own interpretation of it. And I love that so much. Because to me, that seems like someone who sat down, read the books, and thought, well, this is my interpretation of it, not a movie maker's interpretation of it.
Yeah, it gave it such a fresh spin on the fact that we've all, probably people who are playing this game, they've read the books, they've watched the films. So actually, to then still go into a castle where it feels familiar, but also new. You wouldn't be able to play the game and just know your way around instantly just because you've watched the films.
Exactly. And that I thought was genius.
Yeah. But I think what the team did, so Sebastian Garlow was the kind of concept artist behind the castle layout. Mm-hmm. And it's that, like you said, those hidden details of you can walk past certain sections and it is literally as it is described in the books, because they've paid that level of detail to the game, which was really nice. But it was making sure that it still felt like a new castle, that you could have somewhere to explore that you haven't already been before.
Yeah.
But what was quite nice is you still got lost. And I think that's half the magic of Hogwarts itself, is the fact that you could easily just be down the wrong corridor, get lost, but ultimately find something magical accidentally. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, for sure. Have you finished Hogwarts Legacy to its completion?
I'm going to admit no.
Okay, right. That's totally fine. I haven't either, right? But I genuinely am struggling so much with a certain puzzle in this game, and I am desperate to not Google it because I cannot for the life of me work out what it is or how to work it. And I am adamant I will not Google it until
you've exhausted every strategy.
Essentially, yeah. But it's getting to the point where it's like, you know, one of the puzzles in Hogwarts, and it's the ones that are, it's like there are numbers on the door and then there's spinny little things.
Yeah.
Right, I cannot do them for the life of me. I've yet to even complete one.
So I completed one without getting... So there's a bit of paper that you have to find, which gives you the clues to work out the doors.
Okay.
They're maths problems.
Ugh.
So it's basically algebra.
Ugh.
I managed to work out one of the doors accidentally, and then I actually ended up with a page in a notebook that I was going round and relating each one to a number.
Oh, she's invested.
And I kid you not, I sent this to Greg, and he helped me kind of work out where I need to be looking. But I then got the bit of paper with the answers on in the game, and I was one number off.
Nice.
I was proud of myself that I managed to work that out.
I love that for you. I mean, I think I will be absolutely hopeless considering I failed my maths exam 3 times.
I'll give you one hint and one hint only.
Okay, go for it.
You have to go into the rafters of a certain building.
Uh-huh.
And there is a locked room. Go in there.
Right.
And you'll be able to find a bit of paper.
Okay.
And then suddenly those doors will make a whole lot more sense.
Okay, cut to me like 10 years from now, sitting with the controller still in my hand, still looking for this room.
Grey beard, grey hair, just...
I know. Well, at the rate that my hairline is receding, I'm going to say no hair. I'll look like a monk. I will look like the Fat Friar in 10 years.
Oh, God. So, besides then the astronomy tower, AJ, is there any other place that you particularly have an affinity to, or is there somewhere that you particularly like? If you were exploring Hogwarts Legacy, where is the bit that you went to the most? Just for the views, just for kind of exploration.
Admittedly, I mean, the Gryffindor common room is very nice, but I really want to get to the point where I've played all 4 houses just to sort of see. I love the Ravenclaw common room. I love the Slytherin common room. I've not really seen much of the Hufflepuff one.
Okay.
But I think I will play Hufflepuff next, or maybe Slytherin, just because I want to use the unforgivable curses and not feel bad about it. Do you know what I mean? But that is one thing I will say, though, and I completely get why J.K. Rowling did it, because in the books, we got to see every common room that Harry got to go into, with the exception of the Hufflepuff common room. And she said that she didn't want to find an excuse for him just to go into it, just to say that we've seen the common room, which I do completely get, but I really wish we had have seen it. And I'm so glad that Hogwarts Legacy has allowed us to see it.
Yeah, and I think their rendition of the Hufflepuff common room is just so accurate to, I think, what everyone was thinking, because you don't get a description of what it's going to look like. And it's purely what fans have created in their heads as this is what it would look like. And that's what they've taken, and they've gone with that, which it looks so homey.
Yeah. Absolutely. Another place that I will say that I do really enjoy is, believe it or not, the potions classroom.
Okay, is it the potions classroom in the films, the games, or just kind of like that description that you get in the books?
Probably, I would definitely say the ones that are in the movies. Like, you know, the set that they've got at the studio tour. I really do. I love that. And the thing is, if I had my way, I would add so many fireplaces in that. I know it's a potions classroom and there's like, well, they say it's magical flame, right? But I clearly see Bunsen burners in Half-Blood Prince. So make of that what you will. But I would need to crank the heating up in that so much. Because with the description you get of that classroom in the book, it's very Snape. It's very cold. It's very withdrawn. It's like the students can see their breath on the air whenever they are sitting in the classroom, albeit with magical flames in front of them. It just seems like such a cold place. But I like the whole aesthetic of it, the fact that you've got different types of ingredients and little jars lying about everywhere. It's just that whole kind of dark academia vibe almost.
No, I agree with you with that. I think, though, the potions classroom from the first film is definitely on the back foot. Like, I kind of just gloss over the fact that that was the potions classroom.
Yeah.
And then we'll just go from potions from the second film onwards, because obviously they reused the set from Fluffy's dungeon and remodeled it for the potions classroom in the later films. I think that worked a lot more better as the potions, especially like you said, with all of the jars just kind of on the walls, filled with really interesting, weird and wacky ingredients. It just made it feel like a potions classroom, like that kind of gothic vibe.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Absolutely love it. But right, so here's a question for you. So out of all, right, so obviously Hogwarts does have so many rooms, passageways, etc. What would you add to Hogwarts? What do you think is missing? What would be your unique selling point on Rightmove for this castle?
A spa.
Hold on a minute, right? What do you think the prefect's bathroom is?
That is only used for prefects only.
But Harry used it.
What about all the other students?
Well, fair enough. But saying that, would a first year really appreciate an Elemis spa?
No, but maybe the fifth years might. Fourth, fifth years. Bit of LMS, bit of Clarence.
True. That is one set that I do really enjoy, although the books could have went so hard with that. Now, have you read, the books have went really hard with that. Have you read the Apple iBook edition of Goblet of Fire?
I'm going to say no.
Right, and I will tell you for why, because I'm going to send you this illustration, and you can pop it in here if you can, but it is absolutely gorgeous. It's like it's just an illustration of the prefect's bathroom. It's absolutely gorgeous. There is like soap bubbles and all that coming out of every hose that you can possibly imagine. Where is it? This is going to annoy me now.
I think it's definitely one of the rooms that when it came to the book versus from the book to the film adaptation, it just didn't quite hit the mark. Like the tap structure, brilliant. It's gorgeous. But the overall room I just thought it was a bit lackluster.
Yeah. I must admit though, I really did like the stained glass window of the mermaid.
Yeah, but the thing is that we get that in the book.
Yeah,
that is something that's in the book. And I think what was missing was more the fact that the bathtub itself is like a swimming pool.
Yeah.
And they could have done so much with that. Like they could have had like a water slide or just like something in there. Like even the fact like the Hogwarts Legacy version had the springboard. They could have really gone and included stuff like that. Whereas you just kind of got this really elaborate tap and stained glass window.
Here's a quick question. How do you do a screenshot on a Mac?
Shift Command 4.
Shift Command 4. I'm such a boomer. Oh, where is it?
Might be on your desktop.
It is. Okay, boomer. There you go. I've just sent it to you.
That is cool.
Do you see what I mean? It's absolutely stunning. There is so many different coloured of soaps. There's a diving board that is like exceptionally unsafe in a marble bath.
But do you know what I mean? Like they could have like the fountain kind of tap that they had, really nice, really elaborate. But I liked the fact that in the books it's almost like you can pick and choose which soaps and stuff, potions you put into the bathtub. That's what I quite liked about the prefect's bathroom. But I'm going to pass it back to you. Like if you could then add something, what would you add?
Well, there's a couple of things that I would add, but practicality, I don't think a wine cellar would be any good in there. But apart from that, I would probably put in a full-scale like dueling club room instead of having it on this little plinth in the Great Hall. Like have the equivalent of the Room of Requirement, but like an actual full established practice room. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
I think they've done it quite well in the games, but I get what you mean. Like actually having a place to go to duel that's like a safe environment. You're not kind of just out in the open, kids walking past you. Like but I get what they've done in the games, and I think they did this quite nicely in, I think it was the Half-Blood Prince game, where
They did.
you had the dueling club. You could then you had the different levels where you'd be out in the courtyard for one of them, out in the Great Hall for another, and it would just give you a bit of variation as to kind of where you were fighting.
Mm-hmm.
I think I liked the variation, but I get from a practicality point of view, if you're teaching kids how to duel, that's going to be quite a fundamental thing of like, well, why is there not a specific area for it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I get what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that'd be quite a nice addition to it.
Mm-hmm. And well, with the amount of times the amount of staff and pupils that have died at that school, probably a graveyard. Which I think they do have. Don't they? In Hogwarts Legacy?
I don't know. I haven't come across it.
Oh, you have not played as Gryffindor yet, have you? Because you need to do a quest with Nearly Headless Nick.
Okay. So
let me
that'd be why. That'd be why then. No, all I got was I found a cave where I had to offer a bit of toast to an octopus.
Right. Was the octopus me? There's a few graveyards in Hogwarts Legacy, but I'm not too sure if there's actually one on the grounds of Hogwarts. But I would probably say it would be a worthwhile investment, because how many folk have died at that school?
It's almost like a regular occurrence that it's quite frightening.
Okay, so who have we had? We've got Professor Quirrell.
Professor Binns.
Professor Binns.
Moaning Myrtle.
Cedric Diggory. Dumbledore.
Everyone from the Battle of Hogwarts.
Yeah, literally. My God.
If there wasn't a graveyard before 1997, there's definitely a graveyard after 1997.
It'll be like one, the ones that you get after World War One, and it's just like all the same. Do you know the ones I'm talking about?
It's the memorial ones. Yeah,
exactly. It's like the ones they've got in America, and it's like all white marble headstones, and it's just the exact same, all lined up in perfect symmetry.
Yeah.
I feel like that would definitely come in handy.
Yeah, this is how your school is still standing. Please, this is a memorial to everyone who protected Hogwarts.
Exactly.
I think going back, if I had to add anything to the school, I would probably put in what we get within the Room of Requirement. The, not Imaginarium, what are they called?
Vivarium.
The Vivariums.
Is it Varium or Vivarium?
Vivarium? Hold on, I've got said book in front of me. Let me consult the wikis.
Oh, it's Vivarium.
Yeah, Vivariums.
Sounds like a saucy drag queen. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's what I would add. I think the Care of Magical Creatures section is very much lacking within Hogwarts.
Yeah, there's not really that many places. It's just really Hagrid's hut, isn't it? And a subsection of the Forbidden Forest.
Yeah. And even then in the games, you've got like a little hut with some kennels.
Yeah. Like, do you remember Hogwarts Mystery?
That one that went and gone. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember there was a bit in that, and the amount of magical creatures you could have in that was astounding.
Yeah.
I actually really must get back into playing that. There's so many little mobile games that I need to get back into playing. The one that is still going strong is the Harry Potter Candy Crush, as I call it. Which to this day I still can't remember what it's called. You know the one?
I know the one.
I think I'm on level like 1,500 and something.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think having some vivariums and like you've got the classrooms that I think it's more the fact that you would be able to see the creatures within a natural environment that would be more suited to them, and actually learn how they adapt to their own environment. That's what you'd want out of magical creatures class, not necessarily like, here is the creature, there you go.
Exactly.
Like, with all the resources, with all the magic like Hogwarts has, it can't just be a show and tell of an animal.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Talking about classrooms then, you've said that you particularly like the potions classroom. Is that your favourite classroom out of all of them?
Let me think. So what do we have? Excuse me, what do we have? Divination classroom, for me. I like the setup of it. I like the whole sort of Colosseum amphitheatre vibe of it. But there's too many... It's too dark. There's too many... It's too maximalist for me.
It's
I feel
ambiance.
Like it is ambiance, and I do get that, but like too much clutter.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Transfiguration classroom, not enough clutter. I would say it's too minimalist. It's very spread out, but I kind of like the vibe.
I like the airiness of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom, love it. Potions, love it. I like the Charms classroom. That's quite sweet.
Yeah, it's quite cozy and like it's very academic.
It is. It's very Flitwick.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, where else is there? What have I missed?
You've got Muggle Studies, but we don't technically get to see that.
Now, that I will say, right, in the Prisoner of Azkaban video game, you do get to see that quite a lot. It's quite cool. It's quite cool. It's like a museum.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think for me, it was the fact that towards the ceiling, you had the train track going around as if you were in like a toy shop.
Absolutely.
Like, that was like just quintessential Muggle toys.
Yeah, that was really cool. I did like that. But yeah, I think that might be it.
Astronomy? Because you've got the astronomy tower, but the astronomy classroom?
Oh yeah, that is quite nice. That is quite nice.
Herbology?
I love the herbology classroom in Hogwarts Legacy, and also as well the one that you get in the Order of the Phoenix video game. You don't necessarily see that much of it in the movies, I would say. I mean, apart from Chamber of Secrets when they're doing the Mandrake lesson, but that's really about it. You don't really get to see Devil's Snare in a pot in its infancy. You don't get to see a venomous tentacula. There's so much more that the movies, I feel, could have done when it came to herbology.
Yeah, I think I love the fact that they're greenhouses, but I love the step up that they had within the Hogwarts Legacy game of, we're going to make a greenhouse, but we're going to make a greenhouse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's not just going to be like a pitch glass. It is going to be as if you're stepping into Kew Gardens.
Do you know, that is somewhere I have never actually been. That is on my list to go.
Because to be fair, I've never been. I've been to Eden Project, but never Kew Gardens, and it is on the list of places to visit.
Do you know where I really do want to go? Just talking about herbology this year, I really want to go to the Chelsea Flower Show.
Oh, nice.
That'll do me.
So, realistically, talking about kind of the classrooms and what they looked like, what do you think that kind of hit the nail on the head when it comes to the book descriptions? So if we talk about maybe the films and how they did it rather than Hogwarts Legacy, because Hogwarts Legacy is kind of its own kettle of fish, really. Like, they've completely nailed it.
It's sort of like it definitely is a league of its own, I would say.
So in terms of the films then, and how they translated it from the books to the film, where do you think like was the best represented area within the film? What was the least accurate representation?
Let me see. If we're going a bit off-piste, so not necessarily a classroom or a common room, etc., I am obsessed with the Chamber of Secrets.
Mm.
In the movie, it is phenomenal. I thought you really got that depth, the snake heads on either side of the little runway, if you want to call it a runway.
Just
But you know what I mean?
like strutting like down.
I know, it's like, can you just, right, so hold on, picture the scene, right? You have got a basilisk that has been in that chamber for best part of 1,000 years before getting waken up, right? What do? Just slither about on that runway, you know, like the snake heads could be like the Anna Wintour.
Exactly.
Just strutting up and down.
Kelsey dancing.
Exactly. But no, I love the Chamber of Secrets. I loved the head of Salazar Slytherin. Thought that was absolutely wonderful. And as I say, I know I keep sort of harping on about the whole illustrated editions of these books, but that was something that translated very well as well over into that. But no, Chamber of Secrets I absolutely loved. Least represented place. This is a tricky one because nothing really is screaming at me. There's a few other places within the wizarding world that I feel didn't really get the justice, but in terms of Hogwarts itself, I'm not too sure. What about you?
Well, I definitely have to agree really with the Chamber of Secrets, and my little gripe with the Warner Brothers studio tour is the one set I would absolutely love for them to do is the Chamber of Secrets. To be able to just walk down and you've got the snake heads either side of you, like that would just be perfect.
I would absolutely adore that.
I know in my heart of hearts it's never going to happen because the heads were made of polystyrene and they all broke when they were transported.
Oh, you're joking.
So we'll never get that. It's just heartbreaking.
Surely they could remake it.
Well, this is what I've said, and the trouble is the whole point of the studio tour, especially the one in London, is it's all original set pieces.
Yeah, which is fair enough, I suppose.
So I get where they're coming from with it, but at the same time, you want people to enjoy it as well.
No, for sure. Do you know what? I've just had a thought, right? So if we're not going to say the studio tour, I have thought of a ride for Universal, Escape from the Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah.
So picture the scene. You start off in one of Myrtle's bathroom, you open the Chamber of Secrets, and then it lifts you up like that, and you're pretty much horizontal, and then you drop. And then you are in the chamber, and then you get to all these different places, and then you go all the way down, and then straight into Salazar Slytherin's head. You see the basilisk, you do a fight with the basilisk, and then it's all the way back up and out, and then you finish the ride by flying up with Fox.
Nice. Love it.
Copyright here and now, Universal, hit me up. Copyright. Right copy.
Trademark AJ.
TM.
Slip into those TMs.
I know.
Chamber of Secrets would probably be one of my top places that was really well executed. I think if I had to do least favourite,
yeah,
probably be the library.
Yeah, you don't really see that much of it, do you? You just literally see a few tables and a couple of rows of books. That's about it.
Yeah.
I feel like in the books, especially, the depth of that library is astonishing.
I don't want to keep harping back to it, but I think the game did... I think actually not even just Hogwarts Legacy, I think even the games did a much better version.
Half-Blood Prince did that really well.
Yeah. I think Order of the Phoenix, not so much, because it was like you kind of went up some stairs and that was kind of it.
That was it, yeah.
But definitely the games. I think when you went into the library on Chamber of Secrets and you had all of these shelves, you had all of these like walkways and verandas filled with books, like that's the kind of library that you would expect. Whereas
Absolutely.
Like in the film, I know obviously we're filming on location and everything, but you just got rows and rows of books on plinths.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. Because whenever I sort of think about it, whenever I read the books, it's just this vast. It's massive, and the limit does not exist to how far this library actually ends. And I'm inclined to agree. I must admit, I really am.
Because the thing is, at the end of the day, it's like it's its own section. It's got to have lots of material in it. It can't just have 5 books, 5 shelves of books. So, yeah, I just kind of think it was a bit lackluster when it came to the movie adaptation of the library.
So when it comes to all the movies, so we've obviously had 8 movies. Now, for me, I get the fact that Hogwarts is a magical place, and I know that they've had to film on location, but from the Philosopher's Stone to Deathly Hallows Part 2, we've had so many iterations of this castle. It sort of does make you wonder, could you sort of play that off as the castle is an ever-changing thing? Or is it practicality for filming purposes? But you know, the thing that really did annoy me about Deathly Hallows Part 2 especially is the fact the staircase is no longer moved, and the fact you had this one moving walk, not a moving walkway, this one bridge. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just didn't get it.
No, I think the changes that they made for Deathly Hallows, I think literally served a purpose for the battle to make it more of a battleground than it being accurate to what has been in the previous films. I think you've kind of alluded to, I think the explanation and how people have kind of explained that away is the fact that Hogwarts is ever changing. It kind of changes to what's going on, to the headmaster's requirements. So that's why we've seen so many changes and iterations throughout the films. But I don't necessarily buy into that.
No. Right, so out of all of the iterations of the castle, what has been your favourite one?
I think it would have to be probably Half-Blood Princes, or at least Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah, I am very much inclined to agree with you. Either that or Chamber of Secrets. I wouldn't really even count Deathly Hallows because that was just there, essentially, to make it the battleground, as you said. I do like Philosopher's Stone because that's the first glimpse of the castle that we see, but in terms of actual external shots of the castle, my favourite forever and always will be in Chamber of Secrets when they are coming in on that flying car and Ron says to Harry, "Welcome home." And then at the very end, when the camera pans out of the Great Hall window all the way around and you see Hogwarts all lit up, love it, absolutely love it.
I always forget, but I think because Chamber of Secrets is one of those films that I've probably watched Chamber of Secrets the least. I think I always forget about that end shot of it coming out of the window, and panning around.
Yeah, for sure. I do think though that when you get from Chamber of Secrets into Prisoner of Azkaban, there is such a dramatic shift in the layout of the castle, especially the external shots, because I mean, like, obviously they've went from Alnwick Castle to this diorama model that they've now used in the studio tour, but I must admit I do like Prisoner of Azkaban as well. My favourite will be Chamber of Secrets, but I think the addition of the clock tower, that was really nicely done.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't too dramatic. Do you know what I mean? But I think I'm sure I've read something somewhere that when the clock tower was inserted, you were able to get spectacular views of Hogwarts from that vantage point. And from where you see Harry in that shot, when they're all going to Hogsmeade? Yeah. That's on the 3rd floor for the 3rd movie, for the 3rd book. I am sure. It's in this book. In this
Oh, a page to screen, the Bible book.
Book of Shadows of Witchcraft. This is, where is it? Because I did read this last night. Some absolutely gorgeous illustrations of Gilderoy Lockhart's classroom in here, though. Hagrid's hut, the bridge, the clock tower courtyard. Where are we? The courtyard was at the back of Hogwarts. Production designer Stuart Craig explains. Through the clock, you could see the way to Hagrid's hut when Buckbeak was due to be executed. While retaining its dilapidated fountain and Gothic arcade walls, the courtyard was moved to the entrance of Hogwarts for Goblet of Fire. The clock stayed at the back, says Craig, although the pendulum has danced around. If it was in the timekeeping device for the exams in Order of the Phoenix, the fifth film in the series also prompted another move of the courtyard. We're shameless, really, Craig admits. The cloister courtyard and adjacent clock tower were first seen in Prisoner of Azkaban, where the tower provided an important vantage point on the third level of the castle.
Oh, okay.
So there we are.
I think now I've kind of like thought about it, like you reading that out, like it hadn't quite twigged that courtyard jumped around so much. Now I think about certain scenes, like when Trelawney was being let go by Dolores, that was the clock tower courtyard, but without the fountain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Because then you think about the doors going back in, like, and Harry going in, like that should have been the staircases going up where Fred and George took him to show him the map. But actually, when he turns round to the right, it's the grand staircase. Interesting. So I think this is where it gets really confusing about different renditions, because you end up having this mismatch of all of the different areas that we've seen within the films, but just it depends on how they've been laid out or where they've been placed throughout the film. I think this is why, for me, the Half-Blood Prince is probably the best rendition, because actually you've got the courtyards in the correct place. You've got the viaduct that connects the courtyard to potions.
Yep.
And then you've got the grand staircase being like the moving stairs.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that's like the overall best layout. Realistically, though, when we got to Deathly Hallows, so I know we've both established that this is probably I'm not going to say the worst rendition of Hogwarts, because what was quite nice is it kind of gave it a bit more of a grounded feel, because it felt more like a castle, because you had the battlements, because you had like all of the courtyards and everything. But I think it went a bit too far and made it too realistic, too much of an actual castle. It took away the magic.
Yeah, it sort of lost that mystique.
I think so I used to be part of a Minecraft server back in the day. And one of the things that we started to do was we ended up making a like Hunger Games map that was the Hogwarts castle.
What, right? Like a proper, like a Hunger Games arena, but in Hogwarts.
Yeah, so you'd start in the stone courtyard, and you'd go from there, and you would basically chase each other around Hogwarts, like the Battle of Hogwarts.
Oh, okay. Did you have wands or weapons?
It would be the Minecraft weapons, so you'd all have like bow and arrows and stuff like that.
Okay.
But what we ended up doing was, to make it feel like people knew where they were going, we couldn't make the castle too complicated.
Yeah.
But there was also areas of the castle that we've never kind of seen within the films. And we were only going by the films at this point.
Okay.
We ended up using the Deathly Hallows staircase, so that kind of staggered, kind of crisscross staircase, within the bell towers.
Okay.
So that end of the castle, rather than the grand staircase. I think it would have made more sense that the bell towers had a staircase like that, because obviously how tall they are and how tall that building was. It just gave it that nice elevation and staircase to get from classroom to classroom.
Yeah.
I think that's where they ended up utilising a little bit of that within Hogwarts Legacy when they had that staircase that goes down by the portrait that's playing the lute.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of little bit of a hint there, which was quite nice.
Yeah.
So I think it would have made more sense that that wasn't necessarily the grand staircase as it was in the film, but somewhere else in the castle.
Yeah, no, that'd be nice.
But in terms of like concept art then for the film, I think for me, it would always come back to the Half-Blood Prince, mainly because the Warner Brothers studio tour, that final room and the Hogwarts model that they used. It's my favourite room.
Exactly. It is my absolute favourite. I adore it so much.
I think when you just kind of look at that version of the castle, it just feels like you are sat in the distance looking towards it. It's gorgeous.
It's stunning. There's really no words for it.
I mean, have you been since they've changed the lighting for it? It's changed the whole feel of the room. It just looks so much better now that they've changed the lighting, because they've changed it so that you've got like a day and night cycle now.
Okay.
And you kind of watch it and you've got like the sunrise and it goes all kind of like orangey pinkish colours. Then you've got daylight and then you've got a sunset colour and then it goes into a nighttime blue and it will cycle through those colours and it just looked gorgeous.
Oh, it does sound lovely.
Like you can just sit there and just watch it as if you're kind of like, you know, when you're like playing Skyrim or something, you've got the pause and wait button. It's kind of like you're doing that.
I love that. Do you know, I've recently just started playing, not Skyrim, but Oblivion.
Yeah.
I started playing that again. Oh, I love it.
So yeah, I think for me, just the model room. And I think the idea that they've taken the castle and when you break it down, you've got different areas of like UK actual locations.
Yeah.
It's just so clever how they've pieced everything together from real places within the UK.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it didn't click until Adam's mum had moved up to Durham that Durham Cathedral is the bell towers for that section of the castle. So you could literally stand behind Durham Cathedral and it looks as if you're stood at that section of the castle with the two towers behind you.
Stunning. But I'm just thinking, we've called it Hogwarts History, but we've not actually said anything about the history. Do you know what I mean?
We've mistitled this episode. We're going to get sued.
I'll say that if you want, we can just cut the whole history bit out and do a full episode on the history of it.
Oh, yeah, we'll come back. So I think what we might do is this, for those who are listening in, I think what we'll do for the Hogwarts History episodes, I think what we'll try and incorporate just kind of like a background of Hogwarts. So it's not going to necessarily be history, but it will be in certain episodes and we'll kind of cover just Hogwarts itself. I think it's because it's such a big building. It's such a, like, there's so much to talk about. Mm-hmm. What we'll do is in each of these episodes. So I think what we'll do is have like a little mini series of maybe a Hogwarts history. Mm-hmm. We'll introduce more different things. So maybe next time we talk a bit more about the founders and the Hogwarts architect kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And we just slowly piece together Hogwarts in general. So I think this episode has been more Hogwarts history, but in terms of how they interpreted it into films, games, and the books. Etc. Whereas I think maybe next time, let's go into a bit more about the four founders, the architects, the secrets of Hogwarts, that level of detail.
Gotcha. Yeah, for sure. Because I feel like you could spend so much time talking about the four founders as a whole.
Oh, yeah, I think we might do a Hogwarts History, but just purely the 4 founders.
Yeah, we should do.
I think that makes sense. I think let us know, obviously, if that's something that you want to hear about. Like, let us know in the comments. Let us know on Instagram as to what would you want from Hogwarts History. Do you want us to kind of just do these blanket episodes, or do you want us to kind of break down kind of era by era? So let us know. Last week's episode, we asked you guys, what would you be seeing in the Mirror of Erised?
And we had a few responses, but here's some of our favourites. So, the Sorting Cat said travelling the world, consuming all the local eateries. Yes, Cat, I am there with you.
Yeah, I could just see that.
I am there with you 100%. The Greg Who Lived said he thinks he would see himself happy, healthy, married, and with a family. Aww.
Oh, very
It's
wholesome.
cute. Very wholesome. And Mischief and Magic said, I'd like to think I'd see my dad. Same. So Mrs. BB0216 said that they would see their best friend. And Lumos Leviosa924 said they would see myself at Hogwarts at age 11 being friends with the Golden Trio. Yeah, I'd see that as well, to be fair.
Yeah, I think, like we said, with like wanting like working wands, I think anyone would just want to be there at the time that Harry, Ron and Hermione were, and just being part of that. Like, I'd be quite happy with like the bronze, silver trio at this point.
Yeah,
absolutely.
As we move on though to next week, I would like to ask you, if you could add any room to the Hogwarts castle, what would you add?
Ooh, nice one.
Answers on a postcard, Instagram, and we will read the answers out next week.
Fabulous. So next week we will be talking about chapter 13, which is going to be the Man of Mystery, Nicholas Flamel.
Ooh. Finally.
We finally get to find out, and we put a name to a face to a name.
Yeah. Albeit, don't actually see the face.
No, we don't, but...
Sometimes. Kind of, yeah.
Kind of. So, yes, that wraps up this episode of Hogwarts, a History, a very brief history. So thank you guys so much for listening. And as always, keep your radios tuned in for next week's episode, which is going to be Chapter 13, Nicholas Flamel. If you haven't already, make sure to favourite our podcast to make sure you never miss an episode, or subscribe to our YouTube channel down below to see our pretty faces every week. And join us across on Instagram if you haven't already, to follow for our updates over there.
Yeah.
So with that, we will see you next week.
We will see you next week. And whether you come back by the page or the big screen, Hogwarts will always be there to welcome you home. Cherry Bubbles.
Kindest regards.
Bye.